The moon hung low over the valley, its silver light spilling across the sleeping forest like liquid frost. The graystone packlands stretched endless beneath it, a kingdom of pine and shadow, alive with the distant howls of wolves who were everything she was not. Luna Greystone stood at the cliff's edge, barefoot in the dew, the cold biting her skin. The wind carried the scent of her people, fur, earth, and wild magic. It should have called to her. It never did. At 16, every wolf in the pack had already shifted. Every one of them had felt the moon claim their bones, reshape their flesh, and call their true nature to the surface. Everyone but her, broken, they whispered. Moonless, some said, pity in their eyes, envy in their tone, and her father, before he vanished into the northern wilds, had said something else, something that haunted her still. There are wolves the moon can't control, Luna. Pray you never meet yours, she had prayed. Goddess, how she'd prayed, yet the silence within her had never changed. No growl, no stir, just an empty echo where a wolf's soul should be. Tonight, as the pack's chorus rose toward the moon, she watched from afar. Her breath came out in clouds. She imagined what it would feel like to run with them, wind in her hair, claws in the dirt, freedom singing in her blood. But the moment shattered with a mocking voice from behind her. Still watching, Greystone, thought you'd have learned by now you're not one of us. Luna turned. The speaker was a boy her age, all smug grin and golden eyes, one of the Alpha's guards, in training. She smiled softly without warmth. One day, you'll choke on your own arrogance, Mason. He snorted. Not before the Alpha finds out what you really are. And as his footsteps faded into the trees, Luna's hands clenched at her sides. Something deep inside her chest pulsed once, then twice, a faint vibration beneath her ribs, like a whisper against glass. Her breath caught. It couldn't be, but somewhere beneath her skin, something growled back. The wind howled louder, the moon burned brighter, and the girl who was said to have no wolf lifted her eyes to the night, feeling for the first time that perhaps the lie wasn't hers at all. Dawn broke pale and cold over the Greystone compound. Mist curled above the ground like breath from the earth itself, shrouding the world in ghostlight. The moon gathering had begun. Luna walked through the clearing, her cloak brushing against damp grass. Around her, young wolves laughed, sparred, shifted, flexing muscles beneath fur as if proving to the world they belonged. The scent of dominance and adrenaline filled the air. She kept her chin high, though every stare sliced like a blade. Greystone, someone hissed from the crowd, here to watch again. She ignored them. Words couldn't wound her worse than silence already had. At the front of the training grounds stood Alpha Kale Draven, the youngest Alpha the region had ever seen. He was power carved in flesh, tall and broad-shouldered, his eyes a molten gold that could strip souls bare. When he spoke, the air seemed to listen. Today, his voice rumbled, "We honor the moon not with words, but with strength." Wolves bowed their heads, Luna's heart pounded. She hadn't expected him to attend this ceremony himself. He never came to these lower trials. But as Kale's gaze swept the ranks, it stopped, unmistakably, on her. Luna felt it like a touch, cold and sharp. Her pulse jumped. He tilted his head slightly. "You." Her stomach nodded. "Step forward." Whispers rippled through the crowd. "She's not. She can't." But Kale's tone brooked no argument. Luna obeyed, standing before him. He looked her over once, expression unreadable. 6 years since your first shift night, and still nothing. Her jaw tightened. Still nothing, Alpha. He circled her slowly, predator smooth, and yet, he murmured almost to himself, "You don't smell like emptiness." Her brows furrowed. "Excuse me." Kale's eyes caught the morning light. Gold bright as the sun. "Wolves without power smell like ash. You smell like—" He stopped, nostrils flaring faintly. "Lightning." Her breath caught. "You're mistaken. Am I?" His voice dropped, rough velvet. "Shift for me, Luna Greystone. Prove me wrong." A silence fell. All eyes turned toward her. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She tried, goddess, she tried, to call that missing part of her. To reach inside where the wolf should be. Nothing. Only pain, raw and splitting, like her soul was tearing itself apart trying to answer. Gasps echoed. A few wolves laughed. Kale didn't. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that his warmth brushed her cheek. "No, Wolf," he said softly, almost regretful. "And yet, I can't shake the feeling you're lying." Her eyes snapped to his. Why would I lie about that? He smiled then. Slow, dangerous. That's what I intend to find out. The crowd erupted in whispers again, but Luna barely heard them. Because as Cale walked away, her knees nearly buckled. For just a heartbeat, when his voice had brushed her name, something inside her had answered, and it had sounded a lot like a growl. The moon rose red that night. Blood-colored light spilled across the clearing as the pack gathered beneath the ancient stone arch. The mate ceremony was sacred. Every wolf dreamed of the moment the moon goddess marked their destined other. Luna had dreamed of it once too, back when she believed she'd ever have a wolf to answer that call. Now she lingered at the edge of the crowd, invisible, or so she wished. The air hummed with power as the ceremony began. One by one, pairs stepped forward as threads of silver light twined between them, faded bonds revealed under the goddess's gaze. Applause followed each match, the air sweet with joy and pheromones. Then everything went wrong. A sudden crack of energy burst through the clearing. The fire pit flared blue. Every head turned. Every eye found her. Luna froze. Heat spiraled up her spine, fierce and dizzying. She felt her heartbeat sync with another, steady, commanding known. And then she heard it, mate. The word tore from Alpha Cale's throat before he could stop it. The crowd gasped, no, it couldn't be. He was the alpha. She was the broken girl with no wolf. The mate bond wasn't supposed to choose her. Cale's eyes burned molten gold, locked on hers. For a long heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then his expression shifted, shock melting into fury. This is wrong. His voice cut through the night. There's been a mistake. Luna's lips parted. A mistake. Her voice trembled, but she forced herself to meet his gaze. The moon goddess doesn't make mistakes. Cale's wolf snarled beneath his skin. He turned away, jaw tight. She does tonight. Gasps rippled through the pack. Elders whispered. Someone laughed. A cruel, pitying sound. Luna's throat ached, but she stood her ground. You can't just, I reject you. The words hit harder than claws. They hung in the air like a curse. Every instinct in her screamed to run, to disappear before the humiliation crushed her. But her feet stayed rooted. The bond's golden thread snapped inside her chest, tearing something deep. She felt the moon's light dim, the air go cold. Cale's expression wavered for only a second, remorse, confusion. But it was gone as fast as it came. Go, he ordered, voice hoarse. You don't belong here. Luna turned slowly. Her vision blurred. Every step away felt heavier, her heart a raw wound beating in silence. But as she reached the edge of the forest, she looked back. The alpha was still watching her, and for just an instant, his wolf glowed behind his eyes, agonized, restless, calling after her. She walked into the dark anyway, not seeing the faint shimmer of light trailing her steps. The mark of a bond the moon refused to break. Morning came gray and hollow. The celebration fires had burned down to ash, leaving the clearing littered with wilted petals and shattered pride. Luna didn't sleep. She sat by the river's edge, knees drawn close, her reflection fractured by ripples. The cold bit through her thin dress, but she barely felt it. Her mind replayed the night, the glow of the moon goddess, Cale's eyes when he'd said those words. I reject you. Even now, her chest ached where the bond had torn. It wasn't supposed to be possible for a wolf without a wolf to feel that kind of pain. Behind her, faint laughter drifted from the pack houses. It stung worse than the cold. Did you hear? A young voice whispered near the trail. The alpha's mate was a human. Can you imagine? Not human. Another corrected, voice sharp with malice. Something worse. The moon marked her by mistake. Or maybe she tricked it. My mother says her family dabbled in old magic. She's cursed. That's why she never shifted. Luna closed her eyes, the words sinking deep. Each rumor was a seed taking root in poisoned soil. By sunset, half the pack would believe she'd stolen Cale's mark. By dawn, they'd want her gone. She rose quietly, brushing dew from her palms. The forest beyond the compound called to her, a whisper softer than scorn, wilder than fear. But before she could step away, a familiar scent stopped her. Pine, iron, authority, running away, Greystone, Cale's voice. She turned slowly. The alpha stood a few paces away, his coat thrown over broad shoulders, golden eyes unreadable. "I'm not running," she said evenly. "You already made sure I have nowhere to run to." He flinched, barely noticeable, but enough. "You shouldn't listen to them." "Why not?" she asked, meeting his gaze. "They only speak what you showed them." His jaw tightened. For a moment, the alpha mask slipped, and something raw flickered through regret, maybe, or guilt. "I don't know what the moon was thinking," he said quietly. "But whatever you are, Luna, it's not ordinary." The words sent a shiver through her. "You mean cursed." He stepped closer, his voice low. "No, I mean dangerous." Before she could answer, a howl split the air from deep within the woods. Long, trembling, unfamiliar. Every wolf froze. Luna's breath hitched, that sound. It pulsed through her bones like recognition. Kale's eyes darted toward the trees, then back to her, suspicion sharpening. "What did you do?" "I didn't," she began, but the words died as a faint silver light flickered beneath her skin, like veins catching moonfire. Kale's wolf growled low, uneasy, and for the first time, Luna wondered if the whispers were right. Maybe she wasn't just wolfless. Maybe she was something else entirely. The pack's eyes had followed her all day, silent, sharp, filled with something crueler than curiosity. Fear. By dusk, the tension had become unbearable. Even the children hushed when she passed. Luna slipped through the gates before nightfall, the cold forest swallowing her whole. The full moon hung swollen above the treetops, painting the woods in shades of silver and shadow. She walked until the sounds of the compound vanished, until all that remained was the rustle of leaves and the thrum of her heartbeat. Every step felt heavier, like the forest itself was watching. Her breath misted in the air. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered to the dark. "I never wanted to be chosen." But the wind carried no comfort, only the distant echo of that strange howl she'd heard that morning, the one that had pulsed through her bones. It came again now, faint but close, a sound that wasn't quite wolf, wasn't quite anything mortal. Her chest tightened. The moonlight brightened until it hurt to look at. The forest floor shimmered, roots glowing faintly beneath her bare feet. Luna stumbled, gripping a tree for balance, then gasped as fire lanced through her veins. Her vision blurred white. The pain was unlike anything she'd felt, raw, tearing, radiant. Her body convulsed, spine arching, eyes burning with silver light. She fell to her knees, the ground beneath her cracked, steam rising from the soil. "Stop," she cried, voice strangled. "Please make it stop." But the power didn't listen, it answered, a voice, not hers, growled inside her skull finally. Her hands dug into the dirt. Her skin glowed, the light spreading from her heart outward like veins of molten moonfire. The air shook, the trees bent. Somewhere in the distance, wolves howled in terror. And on the ridge above her, unseen through the smoke, Kale Draven stood frozen. He had followed her scent into the woods, meaning to drag her back before the pack decided to hunt her. But what he saw made his wolf recoil. Luna knelt in a halo of silver flames, her hair lifting in the charged air, eyes blank white. Power rolled off her in waves so strong it rattled the stones beneath his boots. "Goddess," he whispered. The light flared one last time, then vanished, leaving Luna collapsed on the ground. Breathing, trembling, alive. Kale stepped forward slowly, his wolf pressing against his skin, conflicted between awe and instinctive submission. She said she had no wolf. He murmured, kneeling beside her. "Then what in the hell are you?" Luna's lashes fluttered. Her lips parted on a breath that wasn't quite hers. Something the moon forgot to kill. And then she went still, the forest falling into a silence too heavy to be natural. Luna woke to the scent of pine and smoke. Her body ached in ways she didn't understand, her skin fever, warm, her pulse strange and slow. When she blinked, she wasn't in the forest anymore. Rough stone walls surrounded her, the faint glow of firelight flickering across a fur-lined bed. The Alpha's cabin. She sat up quickly. Pain flared in her chest and a low growl rumbled from the shadows. "Easy," Kale's voice said, deep and restrained. He stepped into the light, arms crossed, gold eyes unreadable. "You fainted in the woods." Her gaze darted to him. "You followed me." "I had to," he replied. You disappeared during a full moon, and then the forest lit up like the goddess herself had descended. Luna's breath caught. Don't lie. He cut her off, stepping closer. I saw it. I felt it. Whatever happened out there, Luna, it wasn't human, and it sure as hell wasn't wolfless. His presence filled the room not just as alpha, but as something more primal. Luna forced herself to meet a stare. If you think I'm a threat, then kill me. Isn't that what alphas do to the things they don't understand? Kale's jaw flexed. If I thought you were a threat, he said quietly, you wouldn't be breathing right now. A tense silence fell. The fire crackled, throwing orange light across his face, softening the edges of his anger. I don't know what you are. He went on, voice lower now, but I know what I saw. The moon answered you. You burned through the earth like it belonged to you. Her hands trembled. I told you I don't have a wolf. Then what answered your howl? She froze. What? Kale stepped closer still, close enough that she could feel the heat rolling off him. I heard it, Luna. That sound in the woods, it wasn't mine, and it wasn't the pack's, but it came from you. Luna turned away, shaking her head. I don't know what's happening to me. He exhaled slowly, the sharp edge of command fading into something rougher concern. Then we find out, together. Her eyes snapped up. Together, you rejected me. The words hit him like a blow. For a heartbeat, the alpha mask cracked. I did, he said softly, and it was the worst mistake I've ever made. Luna's breath hitched. The air between them hummed tension, confusion, something dangerous and magnetic. Kale took another step. Whatever you are, Luna, I can't look away. Before she could answer, a loud bang echoed from outside, the sound of the pack's warning horn. Kale's head snapped toward the door, his wolf instantly on alert. He muttered a curse. Stay here. Kale, what's happening? He paused at the threshold, eyes flashing gold. Hunters, they crossed the border. Luna's heart stopped. The scent of iron and ash filled the air, and beneath it, faint but unmistakable, the echo of that other presence she'd felt under the moon. Something was coming for her. The pack house burned with motion, wolves shifting, voices shouting through the night. The scent of metal and smoke thickened the air. Luna stood at the cabin door, frozen between fear and instinct, her pulse sinking with the rising howls in the distance. Through the window, she saw Kale tall, furious, commanding barking orders as his warriors sprinted toward the eastern border. His bare shoulders gleamed under the moonlight, muscles tensed like drawn wire. She shouldn't care. He had rejected her, but her heart didn't listen. Then she felt it again, that strange vibration under her skin, like something ancient stirring just beneath her ribs. The same fire from the forest. It pulsed once, twice, in rhythm with the blood. Red moon overhead. Before she could think, she was running not away, but toward the chaos. The forest edge glowed crimson. Hunters, cloaked in silver dust, were driving the wolves back with enchanted nets. Luna ducked behind a fallen tree, her breath shallow. One of the hunters held a strange vial, glowing faintly blue. Her blood screamed recognition, moonfire essence. They weren't just hunting wolves, they were hunting her. A howl tore through the clearing Kales. He lunged at a hunter twice his size, claws flashing, but a silver blade caught his side. He staggered, growling, blood dark against his skin. Something inside Luna broke, her vision blurred, heat and fury rising until she couldn't contain it. The world around her dimmed, leaving only Kale's voice, ragged with pain, and then the forest ignited. Not with flame, with light. Blue fire spiraled from the ground, curling around her arms like living ribbons. Her hair whipped around her face, glowing with the same lunar hue. The hunters fell back, shouting, shielding their eyes. Kale turned and froze. Luna, her eyes burned white. The power roared through her veins, wild and unstoppable. The earth trembled as the silver nets disintegrated in midair. Wolves howled, feeling it to the pulse of something older than the pack itself. The hunters fled, then just as quickly as it had come, the light vanished. Luna collapsed to her knees, gasping, her body trembling with exhaustion. Kale was beside her in seconds, his voice low, shaken. "You're bleeding." She looked down. A shallow cut on her shoulder glowed faintly, not red, but gold. Beneath the blood, a mark shimmered, a crescent moon surrounded by fire. Kale's breath caught. I've seen that before." She looked up at him weakly. "What is it?" He hesitated, then glanced toward the tree line where Elder Lyra stood watching. Her eyes gleamed with fear. "It's the sigil of the Moonfire Wolves," the elder whispered, "the line that was supposed to have died centuries ago." Cale turned back to Luna, his expression torn between awe and dread. "Then she's not wolfless," he murmured. "She's the last of them." The wind howled through the trees, carrying the scent of blood and prophecy. Luna met his gaze, and in that moment she understood what the hunters had come for. Not Cale, not the pack, her. The forest swallowed her whole. Mist curled low around the roots, thick and ghostly, whispering through the leaves like the breath of spirits long dead. Luna ran until her lungs burned, until every heartbeat felt like thunder in her chest. Her shoulders still glowed faintly beneath the torn fabric of her dress, the mark. The sigil of the Moonfire Wolves pulsed softly, golden and alive, refusing to fade no matter how hard she rubbed at it. She stumbled to a stop by the riverbank, collapsing against a moss-covered stone. Her reflection in the water trembled, her eyes flickered between their usual gray and an otherworldly white, blue glow. "No," she whispered, voice shaking. "I can't be. I'm not." The power in her veins laughed back, wild and ancient. It wasn't asking permission. It was waking. Behind her, branches cracked soft at first, then heavier. She spun around, heart in her throat. Cale. He moved through the mist like a shadow given shape, shirtless, wounded, every step a silent storm. His scent cedar and smoke reached her before his voice did. "Running won't help," he said quietly. She flinched. "You shouldn't have followed me. I don't take orders from you," he replied, his tone half tease, half warning, "especially not after what I saw." Luna's breath hitched. "Then you know why you should stay away." Cale stepped closer, his golden eyes searching hers. "You saved my pack. You saved me. Don't tell me to walk away." "You don't understand," she whispered, backing up until her spine hit a tree. "They'll kill me, Cale. The elders said my kind was a curse. I'm the reason the hunters came." He reached out slowly, his hand hovering near her cheek but not touching. "You're not a curse, Luna. You're a secret this world wasn't meant to forget." His voice was softer now, reverent. Dangerous. For a long, fragile moment, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of the river filled the silence, a melody of something sacred and forbidden. Luna looked up at him, eyes glistening. "Why do you care? You rejected me." Cale's jaw tightened. "Because when I looked at you that night, I felt it something I couldn't name. I thought rejecting you would silence it, but it's louder now." He stepped closer, so close she could feel the heat of his body, smell the faint metallic tang of blood on his skin. "You're afraid of your power," he murmured, "but I'm afraid of what I'd do to protect you." Luna's throat tightened. "If you stay near me, you'll lose everything." His lips curved into a grim smile. "Then maybe it's already too late." The air between them shimmered, charged with heat and something older than fate. But before either could speak again, a howl cut through the night, not a wolf's call, but a hunter's horn. Cale's eyes darkened. "They found us." Luna turned toward the sound, her pulse pounding like war drums. The sigil on her shoulder flared again, golden fire crawling up her skin. Her wolf was no longer sleeping. And this time, she wasn't sure she could hold it back. The forest had gone eerily still. Only the rhythmic crash of the river broke the silence as Cale drew his dagger, his golden eyes scanning the shadows. The horn's echo faded, leaving behind a heartbeat of dread. Luna pressed her palm to her shoulder, the sigil burned like fire beneath her skin. Her veins shimmered faintly, like molten gold tracing ancient patterns. "Stay behind me," Cale ordered, his voice low and rough. She almost laughed. "You think I can't defend myself. I think you don't realize what they're hunting," he said, glancing back at her, "and I think you still don't know what you are." The wind stirred the leaves, and suddenly an arrow hissed through the air. Cale shoved her aside, the shaft grazing his arm. He snarled, spun, and lunged into the trees. 2 hunters fell before they could reload. But the third, faster, quieter, slashed Luna across the shoulder. Pain exploded through her body. The world seemed to pause. Her blood hit the ground in droplets that glowed blue. The scent of it sent the hunter stumbling back, whispering, "Moonfire." Impossible. Cale turned, eyes wide. "Luna," but it was too late. The sigil beneath her skin burst into brilliance. Blue and gold flames spiraled upward, wrapping her in light that rippled like living silk. Her hair lifted in the invisible wind, her eyes pure white, her voice breaking into a half growl, half cry. Cale could only watch, struck silent, awed, and terrified all at once. When the light faded, the air around her shimmered with energy. The ground where her blood had fallen now glowed with faint lunar symbols. Luna looked down at her trembling hands. What's happening to me? Cale's dagger dropped soundlessly to the ground. He stepped closer, voice hushed, that mark. I've seen it in the archives. It belongs to the Moonfire Wolves, a bloodline that could command the stars themselves. She shook her head, trembling, their myths, extinct. Then what does that make you? Luna couldn't answer. Her breath came fast and shallow. The light dimmed, but the power didn't vanish, it waited, coiled and alive beneath her skin. Cale reached out not as an alpha, but as a man caught between reverence and fear. His fingertips brushed the edge of her mark. The contact sent a shock through them both, electric and intimate. He drew back sharply, chest rising with ragged breaths. Your power, it's alive, it recognizes me. Luna swallowed hard, or it's warning you. He gave a hollow laugh, but his eyes were dark, burning with something unspoken, maybe both. In the distance, the faint sound of the horn rose again, closer this time. Cale's gaze hardened. They'll come for you now, the elders, the hunters, maybe even the pack. Luna looked at him, voice trembling but steady. And what about you, Cale, will you? For a long heartbeat, he didn't answer. Then he whispered almost to himself, not if I can help it. The moonlight washed over them both, two figures caught between love and legend, as the forest around them held its breath. Cale hadn't slept in 3 nights. Each time he closed his eyes, the same dream found him. A white, fire wolf running through endless mist eyes like twin moons, fur shimmering in blue, gold light. She would stop, look back at him, and whisper his name not with words, but with soul. Every time he reached for her, he woke drenched in sweat, heart pounding like he'd been running with her through that dreamscape. Tonight was worse. The pack was restless. Whispers had spread the alpha had been seen with the cursed girl, the wolfless one who burned with moonfire. Elders muttered of omens and bloodlines best left buried. Cale ignored them all, but deep down he knew the truth was already out of his control. He stood alone at the edge of the forest, where the mist rolled low over the earth. Luna was gone again, vanished into the woods after the attack, but her scent lingered, rain, ash, and wild roses. He closed his eyes. Where are you, little wolf? The wind shifted. The scent grew stronger. And then, the dream returned, only this time he wasn't asleep. A chill rippled through the clearing. The world blurred into silver fog. He heard her before he saw her, a heartbeat, steady, familiar, calling to something buried deep inside him. Then the light came soft, radiant, otherworldly. The white wolf stepped from the mist, her fur alight like flame. She was magnificent, regal, and her eyes gods, her eyes were Luna's. Cale fell to one knee, not from fear but awe. Luna, his voice trembled. The wolf tilted her head, then stepped closer, her gaze meeting his. Warmth spread through his chest, fierce and tender. She brushed her muzzle against his cheek, and for a moment he felt everything. Her grief, her loneliness, her fire, 1,000 memories that weren't his flooded his mind, a line of wolves born under eclipsed moons, hunted and silenced, their power sealed by fear, and then her, the last of them, hidden within human flesh, waiting to awaken. Cale gasped and stumbled back. The vision trembled. This isn't real. But her voice, soft, echoing through his mind, answered, It's real enough for our souls. The mist thickened, swirling around them both. Cale reached for her, but his hand passed through light. Don't go. Her form flickered, fire and sorrow mingling in her eyes. They will come for me, Cale. You must choose what kind of alpha you are. Then the mist collapsed into darkness. Cale jolted awake, breath ragged, fingers clenched around dirt and leaves. The clearing was empty, but Luna's scent still lingered, fresh. He stared up at the moon, blood, tinged, enormous, watching him like a silent judge. He whispered into the night, Then I choose you. And far away, hidden in the deep woods, Luna opened her eyes, tears glowing faintly gold. She had heard him. The bond had crossed the boundary of flesh and dream. The pack's council chamber was carved from ancient stone, lit by flickering torches that threw restless shadows on the walls. The scent of rain and iron filled the air a storm had rolled in, pressing heavy against the mountain. Luna stood in the center of the room, wrists bound in silver, threaded rope that bit into her skin. Every eye was on her elders, betas, warriors' faces she'd known since childhood, now twisted with suspicion and fear. Kale stood at the front, his expression unreadable, but she could feel his turmoil, a battle raging beneath that calm, golden gaze. Elder Lyra's voice cut through the silence. "You know why you're here, Luna Greystone." Luna's chin lifted, defiant. "Because I bled." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Lyra nodded gravely. "Because what you revealed should not exist. The Moonfire line was purged for a reason." Luna's pulse hammered in her ears. Purged or murdered, the Elder's eyes flashed. Their power brought ruin. You would too. Kale flinched at that barely, but Luna saw it. His hands curled into fists at his sides. Then the door slammed open. Beta Rowan strode in, silver armor glinting, rain dripping from his hair. "I've seen it with my own eyes," he announced, throwing a blood-stained scrap of fabric onto the floor. "Her mark glows when she bleeds. She's one of them." Luna's heart stopped. "Rowan," Kale seconding. "Command his brother-in-arms, Rowan." Kale warned, his voice low, not another word, but the beta sneered. "You're blinded by her. Don't you feel it? She's controlling you. That's enough." "Is it?" Rowan stepped closer to Kale, fury trembling in his voice. "Ever since she came back from the woods, you've been different. We all see it." The Alpha's judgment clouded by a cursed mate mark he tried to deny. The word mate hung in the air like lightning. The crowd gasped. Luna's breath caught. Kale turned sharply toward her, eyes blazing, but his voice was raw. "Don't speak." Her chest ached. "They already know, Kale. It doesn't matter now." Rowan's lips curled. "You can't protect her, not from the council, not from the hunters, not even from herself." "Enough," Kale roared, his voice echoing off the stone walls. The torches shuddered with the force of it. For a moment, the air itself bowed to him. Then Elder Lyra spoke, soft but final. "She must be contained. The blood moon rises in 3 nights. If her wolf awakens again, none of us will survive." Kale's chest heaved. "You're sentencing her to die for something she didn't choose." "It's not a sentence," Lyra whispered. "It's mercy." 2 guards stepped forward. Luna didn't resist as they clasped iron cuffs around her wrists. Her eyes found Kale's, pleading, not for rescue, but for understanding. He said nothing. As they led her away, the storm broke overhead. Thunder shook the mountain. Rowan's voice followed her out of the chamber. She said she had no wolf, but you knew she was lying. The door slammed shut behind her. Kale turned toward the torches, their light flickering gold across his face. His voice cracked, low and broken. "She didn't lie," he whispered. "She just didn't know what she was." And outside, in the pouring rain, Luna lifted her eyes to the crimson sky, feeling her wolf stir once more, screaming beneath her skin. The night bled red. The blood moon hung enormous above the mountains, drenching the forest in crimson light. Clouds boiled around its edges like fire licking the sky. Deep beneath the pack's stronghold, Luna knelt in the iron chamber, chains glowing faintly where they touched her skin. Her breaths came ragged, shallow, trembling. She had lost all sense of time. The silver cuffs burned, but not enough to kill her. The elders wanted her alive until the moon was full. She tilted her head back, staring at the thin crack of light above. "If you're really inside me," she whispered to the darkness, "then stop hiding." Her heartbeat pounded louder than the thunder, and then something answered. A low growl, ancient and feminine, rolled through her bones. The world dimmed, her vision blurred. Her body arched as power surged through her veins, blistering, hot and merciless. The sigil on her shoulder flared, spilling light across the stone walls. The chains rattled, then screamed. Outside, Kale stood at the edge of the fortress courtyard, every instinct in him screaming go to her. But guards surrounded the chamber entrance. Elder Lyra's voice carried on the wind. "When the moon is highest, she'll burn herself out. The bloodline will end tonight." He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. He could only feel the tug that bond between them, thrumming like a living pulse beneath his skin. And then he heard her scream. It wasn't a cry of pain, it was rebirth. Kale's control shattered. In one motion, he ripped off his cloak and shifted, bones cracking, fur erupting, the beast taking shape. His wolf, massive, black as night, leapt over the guards before they could blink. He hit the iron door like thunder. It burst open. The sight before him froze his blood. Luna stood in the center of the chamber, no longer bound. The chains lay molten at her feet. Blue fire curled from her hair, wrapping her in ethereal light. Her skin shimmered with markings of ancient moon sigils, pulsing in rhythm with her breath. Her eyes gods, her eyes were pure white flame. Kale shifted back, stumbling forward on human legs. Luna. She looked at him, and for a heartbeat, she was both woman and wolf, both mortal and divine. The power around her cracked the stone walls. The air hummed, vibrating with a language older than any pack. He fell to one knee, not from submission, but reverence. "You're the prophecy," he whispered. "The wolf born from Moonfire." Her voice was layered, echoing with something otherworldly. "They wanted to burn me out, but you," she stepped closer, the air trembling between them. "You came anyway." Kale met her gaze, unflinching. Always, the fire flared brighter, wrapping around them both. Her wolf howled a sound that split the clouds and silenced the world, and when the moon reached its peak, Luna shifted, her true form revealed. A wolf of pure light and flame stood where she had been, her fur rippling with silver fire, her eyes twin stars. She raised her head to the heavens and howled not in pain but in claim. The blood moon trembled. The earth bowed, and Kale, on his knees, whispered to the wind, "Forgive me for ever doubting you." The chains of fate shattered in that instant, and the goddess of wolves was reborn. The world was still trembling when the flames faded. The crimson light of the blood moon softened into silver, washing over the ruins of the old fortress. Smoke curled through the air, glowing faintly like the last breath of a dying fire. Wolves surrounded the clearing, dozens of them staring in awe and fear at the figure standing in the ashes. Luna Greystone, her wolf form shimmered as she stepped forward, the glow fading from her fur, leaving behind the woman she once hid. Her bare feet pressed into the earth, her eyes calm, but burning with quiet power. The elders knelt first. One by one, their heads bowed, their defiance crumbling under the weight of what they saw. The Moonfire wolf, the lost heir of the first Alpha line, was no myth. She lived, she breathed. She commanded the moon itself. Kale staggered toward her, blood streaking his face, his wolf still half, alive beneath his skin. His heart felt as though it might split in two from love, from awe, from guilt. "You were never powerless," he whispered, "and I was too blind to see it." Luna looked at him, her expression unreadable. "You weren't blind," she said softly. "You were afraid, like all of them." He dropped to one knee before her. The proud Alpha, the man who never bowed to anyone, not anymore. The air trembled between them. The pack watched silent, holding their breath. Luna stepped closer. "Do you still want the truth, Kale?" He raised his eyes to hers. "Always." She placed her hand against his chest, over his heart. A pale light flared where she touched him, the bond between them reigniting, fierce and ancient. The mark that had once bound him to another shimmered and dissolved, burning away like smoke. Their wolves howled in unison, one sound from two throats, a harmony of fire and shadow. The bond snapped into place, raw and undeniable. A true mate bond, not chosen by the pack, not blessed by the elders, but sealed by the moon herself. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The magic rippled outward, touching every wolf present. The curse that had haunted the pack for generations broke like glass beneath a storm. Luna swayed, the power leaving her slowly. Kale caught her before she could fall, wrapping his arms around her. "Easy," he murmured, "it's over." She smiled faintly, leaning her head against his shoulder. "No, it's just beginning." Above them, the moon glowed brighter, soft silver now, no longer red. The forest exhaled, the air clearing, the shadows retreating. Kale lifted his gaze to the heavens, then back to her. "Luna Greystone," he said, voice low and reverent, "you are my equal, my Alpha." And in that silence, every wolf present bowed not to Kale, not to fear, but to her. The girl who once said she had no wolf, the woman who became one with the moon. Their bond burned it, Ernal not fragile, not forbidden, but faded. As the first light of dawn touched the valley, Luna looked at Kale and whispered, "Together, we'll rebuild what they tried to destroy." He smiled, fierce, unguarded. "Together, we'll rule." The wind carried their wolves' howl across the mountains, a sound of victory, of love, of rebirth. And beneath the breaking sky, the moonfire goddess and her alpha began their new reign.